Hello, everyone. Welcome to African Esquire TV. I'm your host, Tony Cherie. President Obama has been very mouthy lately because he's trying to promote a book. And something that he said that I think has finally gotten people to wake up to the fact that this is not this progressive leader that you guys have made him out to be. In fact, I've seen pictures of him sitting next to Malcolm X, a depiction of him sitting at a table next to Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. These are people who are revolutionaries, putting him inside of that level. This is not a revolutionary. This is not even an activist. This is someone who is a a part of the political machine, and is only there to continue the system as usual. And any threat to the machine, he's going to come out against that. Obama said a lot on his campaign that has kind of rubbed me the wrong way, but this particular I really could not stand, because this is coming from someone who did absolutely nothing for African people, and yet he feels like he's qualified enough to make this type of statement. He says, suddenly a bunch of folks who might not otherwise listen to you are listening to you. The key is deciding, do you really want to get something done, or do you want to feel good among the people you already agree with, he says. And if you want to get something done in a democracy, in a country as big and diverse as ours, then you've got to be able to meet people where they are and play a game of addition and not subtraction. What is he saying here? Well, first of all, it's clear that he says in a democracy like ours, because he's saying that inside of this system, you don't get what you want without appealing to the factions. And that means that you cannot have everything that you want. You have to water it down in order to make it palatable to the mainstream or to the masses of the American public. Now, obviously, if you're a people whose interests have always been contrary to the American public, having been a force of exploitative labor for a long time, and then been a people who have been incarcerated for the benefit of many million-dollar corporations, and now are essentially a people who are in need of social control in order to continue the current democratic system as it is, then your interests are just not going to be complementary to the interests of the masses. So what Obama says to our people is that essentially your interests aren't going to be met. We have to do something inside of the vein of the mainstream that's not going to offend people. And if that's impossible, then you can essentially take what you want off the table. One, I want to point out a few things about Obama, and this will not be a long video. He has not once done anything that has actualized into a real material benefit for African people before or after his presidency. I've never heard of anything his man has done prior to becoming president, when he was a senator, when he was a community organizer, anything that's actually been created to build a real material benefit to African people. Now, why is that important to note? Because this man feels as though, because he was the first Black president, that he can tell us how to get there. He can tell us how to get to liberation without having any context, without having any experience, without having any role in the liberation of our people. That's always a red flag. Whenever you have these people in the machine, in the political machine, think they can lecture you about how to obtain freedom, but these people have always been the beneficiaries of your lack of freedom, that's going to always be a red flag. And yet people continue to listen to him, continue to give him your ear. So stop giving him your ear, first of all, my people. We have to stop giving this man the luxury of feeling like he can tell us what we need or tell us what's good with our conditions. This is not someone that cares about African people. I want to emphasize this. He doesn't care about African people. He does not care about African people in the United States, and he certainly doesn't care about African people around the diaspora or in the continent of Africa. This is someone who only cares about maintaining the system of white supremacy, the same system that, even though it has worked against his people, he wants to maintain this system so that he can be the beneficiary, as well as his friends and other cronies. That's what he wants. So let's stop looking at him in that type of way. And second of all, most importantly, let's make sure that whenever we're coming up with dialogue about what liberation means for our people, that we do not have any intention of settling, any intention of making it palatable to the masses. Doing so has always crippled our people, has always handicapped us and not allowed us to fully advocate for ourselves. It's only allowed us to have these surface level reforms, because understand, if your oppressor likes the type of thing that you're proposing for your liberation, more than likely it's not for your liberation. It's for a continuing of their position, or of their political position over you, but it's so it can pacify you enough to keep you quiet. So keep in mind, they'll put cameras on the officers. They'll they'll create maybe a law to say, oh, you can't do this or you can't do that. You know, they'll try to do certain reforms that are okay with the dominant classes, but they're not going to do anything that threatens their position. Saying that you'll defund the police, obviously, that makes a lot of people nervous, because that does actually threaten their position when you're talking about taking away from a white supremacist institution that only exists to protect their interests. So that's all I have on this. What are your guys' thoughts on Obama, the Obama tour, book tour? What are your thoughts on his belief that in having the position to lecture our people on our own good or on our own progress? That's all I have, and I'll see you guys in the next video.